Hi guys, so this is Lou Martin, and this is my channel, Awakened Spirits Network, and I am absolutely delighted, over the moon, thrilled to be with an ex-girlfriend from high school, would you imagine? And one of my dearest friends that I've been able to reconnect with for the first time in 40 years over the last few months. And this is the lovely Vicki Niquette Elson. Is that how we say your full name?
Sure.
Okay. And so Vicki, tell the folks about you and why we're going to have a lovely chat here today.
Okay, well, a lot has happened since we saw each other last. The most exciting thing for me, other than the kids and grandkids that have come into my life since we were last together,
Right.
is
sorry, how many of each? Might as well give the full
three
score.
kids, three grandkids.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Moms like to know these things. Yeah.
Yeah, well, plus I'm newly married, and so now I have 5 kids and almost 5 grandkids. There's one more coming this month.
Man, that just doesn't quit, does it?
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. Good for you, honey. Fantastic.
Yeah, so with all these offspring, I am very future focused.
Yes.
And I had this amazing experience that I want to share with you.
Great.
3 years ago, on 7/7/17, in fact.
Okay. I love numbers.
Yep. And I was dating a new guy, and he took me on our 4th date to the United Nations, where he was working on the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons,
wow,
which I had never heard of.
Right.
And I had just kind of been worrying about nuclear weapons all through my children's and grandchildren's childhoods.
Okay.
I tried really hard not to think about it because I didn't think there was anything I could do.
Right.
But I went to the UN. He had written a book about nuclear weapons called Disarming the Nuclear Argument, The Truth About Nuclear Weapons, about how deterrence is a total fallacy, about how the fact that these things exist at all is simply because a small number of people are making a lot of money off them.
Right.
And his book went into a great deal of detail and history about the danger and about the arguments for and against nuclear weapons to exist. That book got distributed to all the ambassadors that were negotiating this treaty.
Right.
And so I showed up at the end of the treaty process. I got to be in the actual room for Articles 17, paragraphs 2 and 3, which for me was like, I'm like, I want to call my grandkids. I'm in the room where it happened.
Right.
So exciting to just be in a room where, you know, and this weird thing happened to me.
Yeah.
I realized for the first time in my life that we just make stuff up.
Right.
You know, human beings, we just make stuff up. Like, what do we do? What kind of government do we have? What kind of agreements do we have? How do we treat each other on the big scale? We just make stuff up.
Okay, I like it.
I was in the room where they were making stuff up.
Right.
And it was good stuff.
Good stuff.
That was nice.
Yes, for a change.
So, yeah. So at the actual moment that the treaty was agreed by 122 countries.
Wow.
UN.
Yeah.
I was not in the room where it happens. I wasn't allowed in right then, but my friend Tim was.
Okay.
And he, but the room was so crowded at that moment, they had run out of those little plastic headphones that tell you 6 languages, you know, translate everything.
Sure.
I was in the UN cafe with my laptop and my phone and texting him the translations.
Oh, great.
So we were like together in the room where it happens.
Yeah, I've been to the UN. I've been to the UN once. Yes. So it is a very special place, obviously. Yeah.
Well, it's amazing. I mean, you go by the door of the UN Security Council, and there's all these guys walking by in all kinds of regalia, and people from all over the world are having coffee together, and it's a fantastic place.
Yes.
With Trump Tower right across the street, which is just so surreally weird. I can't even begin to tell you.
Yes. Well, the story of our lives. Yeah.
Exactly. So this treaty was agreed by 122 people, and at the UN, you're not supposed to like stand up or make noise or clap, or you're supposed, you know, you have to be very polite and well behaved. Cool. But they broke all the rules. When this thing happened, people have been working on this for so long. They all jumped up and took selfies and cheered and
wept for joy.
It was very moving. And what really got me was that there were people in that room who'd been working on this since they survived Hiroshima and Nagasaki 72 years earlier.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Our friend Setsuko Thurlow, Google her. Yasuko
Yes.
Thurlow. Do you know
Yes.
who she is?
Well, you mentioned her, and I did actually, Vicky, either through you or on my own, I did see her name. I didn't have any idea that there was anyone still alive from Hiroshima.
Well, there are a number of people. They're called the Hibakusha,
Right?
and they lived in shame, and people wouldn't marry them, and they died of cancer, and they're still dying of cancer all these years later,
Yeah.
and their
Terrible.
children have birth defects, all kinds of, and they have, of course, incredible PTSD.
Yeah.
But a number of them, these elderly Hibakusha, are still traveling the world, telling the stories, saying, "Don't ever let this happen again."
Yes, of course. God bless
Um,
them.
so Setsuko was 13,
Okay.
and she was in a building that fell down,
Right.
and her schoolmates were dying all around her.
Right.
Somebody said, keep crawling towards the light.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so she found her way out of the building. She found people walking down the street. I mean, God, carrying their eyeballs in their hands, their skin falling off, begging for water, calling for their mothers. I mean, it's an unbelievable story that humans would do this to each other.
Yes. Terrible.
So she survived that,
Right.
and miraculously is still with us. And she worked all her life, like the other Habakkuk, to make sure this never happened again. And she was in the room when the 122 countries agreed it.
Brilliant. Can
And
you
that was
imagine?
something that really, really moved me. So,
Oh God, yeah.
so I said to my date, Tim, who had brought me to the UN.
Yes, very romantic, Tim. I have to give you big points. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know the way to a progressive's heart.
It was so much better than dinner in a movie.
Oh
It
yeah,
was like,
I'd say.
yeah. I mean, we had some fun dates too in our day. But
Good.
it was,
Good. I'm sure.
we were in plays together and all kinds of fun things.
Fantastic. But UN peace treaty signing's pretty good.
It was good. It was good.
Yeah.
So my first question was, what do we do in the U.S. to promote this treaty? Because the 9 nuclear nations not only weren't at the discussions, they boycotted it. And it was so great. We had the U.S. government outside the building holding signs and protesting, the opposite of what so many of us have dealt with our whole lives, So that was kind of cool.
Hang your head in shame in America.
Right.
Yes.
So my first question was, Tim had just moved here from the UK.
Oh.
Where he was working with Quakers in Britain for many years and had just moved back here.
Is he English himself, or is he American?
He started out here, but he spent 45 years in England doing peace work there, living at a nuclear weapons base called Molesworth.
Okay.
Raising his family there, doing peace work there, getting a PhD in peace studies, all this great.
Right.
And
Well, the Quakers are such incredible peacemakers and peace actors. Yeah.
Quakers are great.
Right.
Yeah. So I've become kind of Quakish myself.
Good for you.
Yeah.
You'll be
my
quaking in no time.
Exactly. I'm quaking.
Yeah.
So my first question was, what do we do in the U.S.?
Yes.
And that was his question too, because he was just moving here.
Right.
And my second question was, like, when's our next date?
Yeah.
So
let's go, buddy. Right.
Say,
yeah. Let's go, buddy.
Yeah. And we started nuclearban.us.
Okay.
Which is a place you can go if you want to reach us, or if you want to find out a lot more about nuclear weapons than you ever wanted to know.
Well, brilliant.
What you can do
yes,
to help.
Please. Yes, I do.
Really exciting stuff we can do.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So
nuclearweapons.us.
Nuclearban.us.
Nuclearban.us. Okay, we'll put that in the links, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So the treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons now has, after the countries agree the language, the next thing they do is they have their presidents and prime ministers and royalty and whoever sign it.
Yeah.
So we've got 80 some signatures now.
Okay.
And then the next step after that is they have their Senate or their parliament or whatever ratify the treaty.
Right.
Now we're up to 40 ratifications.
Very good.
Which is really exciting.
Yes, that's amazing.
Yeah, and you know who might be one of the next ones? Ireland.
Oh, you mentioned that when we were chatting the last time. So that's very interesting. That's very interesting.
So if you're listening to this from Ireland, find out what you can do. Find your Irish CND group, your Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament, or whoever's, or International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons surely has a branch in Ireland.
Okay.
And find them and find out how you can support this happening, because it may be imminent in Ireland, which is very exciting.
That's brilliant, honey. So again, you're going to give me this information. I'm going to put links, and we're going to send people on their merry way. Can I just give you a little update about the Irish side of things here? So do you know the name John Hume?
John Hume, Tim? Do you know John Hume? He passed away.
Tim, hello, my friend. Yes. So Tim, join the party. Join the party, brother. Congratulations, and it's lovely to see you again, my friend. So my housemate of the last 13 years is a fellow named John Cully, and he's from Derry in the north. And in his growing up years, Vicki, John Hume was a friend of his dad's. And John Hume was called by Mary McLeish. We had his funeral here today, absolutely true. And the Pope, the Dalai Lama, and Bono all sent their best wishes to John Hume. Mary McLeish, who is the former president of Ireland, there's the Taoiseach, who's the prime minister, and then there's the president, who's more of a ceremonial figurehead. The chap now is Michael, but Mary McLeish said John Hume was the Martin Luther King of Ireland, and he is the one who is given the lion's share of credit for the peace treaty with the North and the ending of the Troubles after 30 years of war. And so my housemate's dad was intimately involved with all of that in Derry, which is where John Hume is from. So today we're watching the national celebration of this great man's life and the funeral. And I said, John, do you know this church where the funeral's at? He said, that's where he, as a priest, he's a former priest, where he got ordained, where he was actually an altar boy in this cathedral. So, I mean, I've just been hearing stories all day long. So when we're talking about peace and Ireland, I have to share a little bit of that joy with you both. And then we can see what we can do here for nuclear disarmament. And Tim, congratulations, my friend. And it's great to say hi again.
Hey, I forgot to tell you guys what you have in common.
Okay.
You have both played Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof.
No, I don't believe it. That's incredible.
Me? Yeah. Yeah.
That's great. Well, we'll have to discuss that further, obviously. We'll have to explore that at some point. That's great.
Yeah.
It's a fun play.
Yeah. One of the best.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So Tim, you were in the UK for years, and you were Quaker. Vicki was telling me.
I worked in Northern Ireland for a bit as well.
Okay. All right.
With civil society groups there during the troubles.
Right. Okay. All right. Wow.
Yeah.
So you go back quite a ways. How long have you been in the States, based back in the States?
Just 3 years and a bit.
3 years.
We met the instant he got here. So.
Right. Well, it's amazing. I mean, I love this lady, as we both do, Tim. So it's
Oh, you guys are so nice.
Yeah. Well, you're one in a million, darling. So it's great to get to connect and catch up with you both here and learn more about the great work that you're both involved in, and I'm happy to support it any way that I can. So
thanks, Lou.
Yeah, pleasure.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Wait, did you say that who was the connection with John?
So my housemate his name is John Cully, Cully, and his dad was friends with John Hume. And
I just see your last name is Martin, and
yes,
I knew some Martins in Northern Ireland, but I'm trying to think.
Well, I've never even been to the north, you know. Oh. I'm down. Yeah, I'm down here in Cork. I've been to England more than I've ever been to Northern Ireland, which is zero, as I say. But yeah, it's amazing, amazing history and an amazing moment with everything that's going on. So Vicki's just giving me all the updates of the signing of this treaty and who's ratified and who signed off on it and what we can do to move things forward. It's very, very exciting to be a part of it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is the 75th anniversary of the beginning of the nuclear age.
Right.
So tomorrow is the anniversary of Hiroshima being bombed by the United States.
August 7th.
August
6th. Okay.
And then
all right.
is Nagasaki Day. So we're having a bunch of events here.
Okay.
And all over the world. You know, there are events where floating candles down rivers and having beautiful music and, remembering.
Yeah.
Doing everything we can to make sure it never happens again.
Sure.
So, that's why we're so excited about this treaty. What we did here in the United States recently, last year, is we we started looking at the connection between the climate and nuclear weapons and
Okay.
inequality.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, nuclear weapons are a climate issue. If we have even a little nuclear war between India and Pakistan, for example, that could put enough soot in the atmosphere to starve 2 billion people.
Yes.
So,
Yes. I've
you know,
heard
long
Daniel
after
Daniel
whatever-
Ellsberg talk about this.
Yes.
Yeah, several times now. Yeah, he's quite
Yep,
involved.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
So we wrote a report called Warheads to Windmills: How to Pay for a Green New Deal.
Right.
Oh yes, I have a prop here. This is my copy of the report.
Excellent.
Yeah, and it's about how if we took like the $90 billion a year that we're spending on nuclear weapons and put it into green technologies, what a difference that would make. And
Huge.
not only that, it's the brain power. It's the scientists. You know,
Yes.
we need those guys
Yes.
and women. Those
Yes.
scientists. We need the smart people to be working on green technologies and other solutions.
Sure.
So what's also very exciting to us is that we have a piece of national legislation pending.
Okay.
Right now, it's a long shot. It's a dream, but it's perfect. You know, it's the same thing as Warheads to Windmills. It's and we are just going to keep plugging away until this the norm.
Yeah.
It's a piece of legislation. Oh, and we're waiting for Ireland to
ratify anything.
Oh, I told him that. Yeah.
Okay. No, so I didn't know it was going to. Oh, you did say that, but it got lost in the shuffle, Vicki. So thanks, Tim.
Yeah.
So Ireland is in the process of ratifying this. We're saying.
Yeah, they're getting close.
Excellent, and it's going to happen any day, Tim says.
And when it does, we're going to have such a party.
Well, count me in. You know, I'll put on my virtual party hat and dance the Irish jig. That sounds great.
Yeah. Well, Ireland is so much more connected to NATO and it's going to start. Well, already there's cracks. There's cracks in the armor. You know, of the nuclear argument. So. Yeah. Ireland would be a huge step forward.
Yeah. Well, it's yes. Bless you. I mean, it's. I'm sorry. I'm just taking a moment here to put my thoughts together, Vicki. These are such big issues. Yeah, as I say, I've heard Ellsberg talk about this quite a bit. He's the one that I've been most familiar with recently. Of course, I watch Amy on Democracy Now! From time to time to get a dose of American leftist political reality. She has these great interviews. But yeah, you know, there's no doubt that this is, you know, one of the critical, if not the most critical issue in terms of shifting disempowering the military-industrial complex somehow, please God. Yeah. I mean, Bernie, of course, is talking about this quite a lot. Bernie Sanders, you know, that if we can take 10% out of the military budget, we would stand a fighting chance to survive this planet for a while.
Well, Bernie, we were so sad when he dropped out. He had the only Green New Deal that was really, really powerful enough to make a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, Jay Inslee's was good, and then he was gone. And so what we're going to get from President Biden, we expect, will be not as powerful, might not be enough. We're going to have to just keep the pressure on him, on climate, on nuclear weapons, and just keep going. It's really important to elect in the US here, you know, Congress and Senate that are, and state legislators as well, because they can do constitutional amendments.
Sure.
It's important to be electing people at every level that are going to support these things and just really turn the status quo upside down.
Sure. Well, how did the left do? Right. How did the left do today in the primaries? May I ask? What's your sense of things in general terms?
I don't know. Did you follow that today? We've been on Zoom all day.
Well, I told you this one right-wing Democrat's out after 7 terms or whatever.
Where was that?
Not Cory.
Oh, this is Kansas, Tim?
Cory Bush, yeah.
Cory Bush?
No,
Booker.
Yeah, there was somebody named Cory Bush who won.
Booker, I think, isn't it? Cory Booker?
Well, there's a different Cory.
Oh, right. Okay, that's the chap from Newark, yeah.
Yeah, Cory Booker's from Newark.
Yes.
Cory Bush somewhere. I'm sorry, I don't have details.
Okay, well, what I can tell you guys is...
Missouri.
All 4 Native candidates won the nomination somewhere. And I think it was in the Midwest, yes. There were 4
Oh.
Native American candidates, and they all passed the primary today. So that was a shot in the arm for all of us.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, Tim's just looking it up. He says Rashida Tlaib is continuing, and that's terrific news. And yeah, I'm glad you've had time to be following that today. Yeah, it's great.
Sure.
So, so this piece of legislation, 2419, is Warheads to Windmills, and
Interim incumbent.
we are very excited to be supporting that.
Right.
It's really important to hold on to the big picture.
Sure.
A lot of legislation and a lot of action is focused on parts of the puzzle, but not the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like if we become vegan, well, that would help with the climate, but it's not going to be enough.
Sure.
If we all recycle and, stop flying in airplanes, that helps. It's not enough.
Sure.
The lifestyle changes are great, but they're not enough. Don't kid yourself.
Sure. Did you see Michael Moore's last film that he produced?
Terrible. It was
I had a feeling. Yes, it wasn't an upbeat little movie.
No, and it was wrong on a lot of counts. Tim wrote an article about that. I think it's on our website, right, Tim?
All right. Well, I'll take a look at that. I'm a Michael Moore fan, I have to confess.
I know, I used to be.
I'll take a look.
Yeah, but Tim wrote a really interesting week on our website, nuclearban.us. So yeah, that was disappointing. And he got a lot of stuff just wrong.
All right.
So,
All right.
But the incrementalism is really something that we're worried about. People are talking about, well, let's take Trump's finger off the button. Let's take them off hair trigger alert. Let's stop Trump from starting to test nuclear weapons again in Nevada. Those are all really important things. If
Trump is not the devil himself at this point, I'm honestly persuaded that it's not a stretch. I mean, literally everything the man can do to threaten life on this planet, he's managing to do it.
Well, unfortunately, I'm afraid he's a symptom.
Yes, but I mean, it's been the same, hasn't it, for nuclear weapons, that he's taken all the treaties away and taken all the limits away and full speed ahead one more time.
Yeah, and we all just sit around in America scratching our heads going, can he do that?
Right.
It's unbelievable. He's holding up a mirror to show us the worst of ourselves, which I hope will ultimately be a useful thing. I hope.
Yes, I do.
But meanwhile, it's like a bull in a china shop. He's doing a tremendous amount of damage, and hundreds of thousands of people are dying.
Yes,
because he wasn't ready to tell the truth about the pandemic. I mean, it's just incredible. So we won't talk about him too much.
I'm convinced he's in the faithful employ of our friend Vladimir, who has an office in Moscow. But we can leave that for another time.
Could be.
Yeah. Oh, there's not a shred of doubt in my mind at this point, sadly. But there you go. We can leave that for another time.
Well, he's definitely in the employ of his own delusions and his own ego, and that's really sad.
Sure. It's like you say, when people's lives are being lost and the economy is being crashed, it's tragic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
If I weren't so mad, I'd feel sorry for him. But
I know. If it didn't hurt so much, it'd be funny.
Right. Yeah. So I think we need to watch out for partial solutions. We need to really dream big. We need to vote people into office, young people who are going to not take any BS, like we love Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah, I do too.
We are expecting her to be our president in 2028.
Yeah, that'd be great.
We're just voting for her. She calls it like it is.
Yeah.
And she doesn't let anybody get her down. She doesn't let them co-opt her.
Right.
It's so easy for people to be co-opted, especially when politicians have to spend so much of their time dialing for donor dollars.
Well, yes, darling. I mean, this is the definition of fascism, is corporations running the government with no holds barred. And if we aren't that close from that right now, I'll eat my hat,
Well, we have to wake up as a species and say, we're just making stuff up. Let's make up something better.
That I love. That's going to be my quote for you, my friend, because that is beautiful. And it is absolutely, Vicki. I mean, that is the truth. That's what my guides have been teaching me for 33 years, my friend, that you create your own reality, boys and girls. So how about a fun one? How about one that works instead of one that doesn't work,
Yeah, exactly.
Coming. Well, good. So carry on. I keep interrupting you.
Well, let's see. We have all kinds of good news.
Some news from just
Oh,
Tim right now.
there's more news from International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons.
Tomorrow.
Who?
They're not saying who, but.
Oh, there's another country. Tim just got the news
Yeah.
flash. There's
Yeah.
another country about to ratify the treaty
Well, it says
tomorrow.
a number of states will ratify.
A number will ratify tomorrow? Oh, because it's Hiroshima Day.
Right, it's Hiroshima.
So in honor of the 75th anniversary of the
Yes.
nightmare dawn of the nuclear
Yes.
age, a
Yes.
number of countries are going to ratify the
Well,
treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons tomorrow. One of them might be yours.
I'm going to go out on a limb and tell you that when we're burying the biggest peacemaker this country has ever produced in its 100-year history, I think it's a safe bet that they're going to bring up his name and pull the trigger on the ratification.
That'd be fantastic. And
Yeah.
I apologize for being so ignorant about Irish heroes. That's why I follow Tim around. I keep
Sweetheart,
learning.
if I hadn't gone down this afternoon and sat in front of the TV with my housemate, I wouldn't be able to tell you this stuff either. So it's just fresh off the wire here, as we say. Yeah.
Very exciting. So
Yes.
that's great news. We have always thought that the way to undo fascism is to put pressure on the corporations themselves,
Sure.
which is a tall order. They're very powerful.
Right.
We do live in a corporatocracy for the most part.
Right.
So we've been chipping away. There are only, in the nuclear weapons case, there are only a couple dozen companies that make nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
So we started out with a consumer boycott of Honeywell, because
Okay.
everybody has Honeywell thermostats.
I see.
Well, and I went to their shareholders meeting last year. I held my nose and bought a share of stock so I could go to their sharedholders meeting.
God bless you. You're a radical.
It was great. She spoke in front of all the shareholders. It was fantastic.
It was really fun.
And did you have your beret and your Che Guevara t-shirt on and
no, I had on a suit.
Oh, okay. You were fitting right in. Okay.
Suit.
You were starched and collared. Okay.
Oh, yeah,
good.
all starched up. Yeah.
Okay, good.
And yeah, and unfortunately, shortly before that shareholders meeting, Honeywell sold its home thermostats division.
Oh.
So this product that we were planning to boycott, there went our whole strategy.
Right.
We don't know if they sold it off because they were scared of us, or if it was a coincidence, or if they sold it to some branch of themselves. I don't know. So really, as consumers, it's very hard to boycott the nuclear weapons industry because they mostly make nuclear weapons and big stuff like airports and roadways, big IT systems and stuff like that. So
well, let me just take 1 second and interject for our international audience here. So the American military budget is 100 times the cumulative military budget of the rest of the planet put together. That's how much money is spent on all this madness, right?
Yeah, and somebody's getting rid.
Oh yeah. Oh, this was Eisenhower, of course, back in the 50s when he tried to warn us, but the horse was already out of the barn at that point. And we have the intelligence state and the industrial complex and the deep state and whatever. And it's been a little wobbly for a while.
Well, we got to elect people that are going to change all that, and we got to do it.
Yes. Do you know? Again, I could just chat with you all day, sweetheart. Do you know? And Tim too. Jump in anytime there. Tim, do you know Eddie Glaude? He's Professor Eddie Glaude. He's an author. He's on MSNBC and he's really eloquent. He just wrote a book called Begin Again, which is inspired by James Baldwin. Remember James Baldwin, the great, The Fire Next Time and all that. So I'm just starting it. I just started it on Audible, and he says we need a third founding. This is where I wanted to get to. So he says we had the American Revolution, first founding. We had the Civil War, second founding. This is the second American Revolution. This is our chance to begin again. This is the third founding. So, chaos precedes great change. And we're clearly in the midst of both at the moment.
Well, it needs to be Black Lives Matter. It needs to be Green New Deal. It needs to be nuclear weapons ban. It needs to be managing pandemics in a sensible way. It needs to be decreasing income inequality. It needs to be LGBTQ plus rights. It needs to be, yes, you're right, all of that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So I have to tell you, I'm just, because you're a grown up and you and Tim can take it. I'm not even sure there will be an election.
Well,
Yeah. I mean, that's how cynical I've become, not because I want that to happen, but, this is the third act of this story. And I think we're in for a lot of ups and downs before the end of the year here. That's, I hope
hold
I'm
on to
wrong
your
about
hats,
that.
folks.
Yeah,
We might
exactly.
work really, really hard
Yeah.
to safeguard democracy.
Yeah.
But this concept of boycotting and divesting from the corporatocracy, I just wanted to share some more good news.
Sure, please be my guest.
I'm all about we have enough.
Yes, dear. I'm like Cassandra here. Forgive me.
I like to be the good news fairy because
You go right ahead. Cheer us up. Cheer us up.
So here's some really cool news.
Okay.
The city of New York is working on divesting its pension funds from the nuclear weapons industry.
Brilliant.
Now, like I was saying, if you and I boycott or if we divest, if we have a lot of money,
yeah,
they'll pay attention. I don't know that we have to really affect their bottom line, but with socially responsible investing, who knows?
That's right. That's right. That's how apartheid died. That's how we got apartheid out.
It's not just their bottom line because they have so much money, but their reputations that we want to affect by stigmatizing the stuff that they're doing is just wrong.
Yes, by their ability to do business or not. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
So the city of New York, which is a lot bigger than me,
yes, me too.
is on the verge of divesting its pension funds from the nuclear weapons industry. Tim and I went down and testified with a whole bunch of other incredible people.
Wow.
About why that's a good idea.
Yeah, brilliant.
There was a guy there who had worked in a warehouse in Manhattan where nuclear stuff from the Manhattan Project was stored.
Wow.
Where the High Line is now in New York City.
The High Line is a High Line.
The High Line is where they took a train track and turned it into a. So right there, right in the middle of New York City,
right.
There's a warehouse, and he said in that warehouse where he worked back in the day, the floors were melted from these barrels of stuff that was sitting there. This, stuff left over from the Manhattan Project.
Just a little plutonium lying around. Nothing to worry about. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was there, and the other totally amazing people that testified. But as it turned out, we didn't all have to testify because the city of New York, they were getting ready to do it anyway.
Okay.
We have an unbeatable majority now in the city council.
Wow.
And they were about to vote, and then COVID happened and everything slowed down.
Okay.
But the only opposition that came and testified was, it was just red tape. It was just there was a procedural issue that was a problem.
Right.
And the city council's like, are you kidding? We can fix that.
Okay. Okay.
It was really moving to be there with all those great activists,
right?
Antti Bakusha and all kinds of amazing people.
Okay.
And hear them all say, yeah, you're right. Why would we support these companies that are instruments of mass extinction?
Yeah.
That was cool. And then right here in our own city, Northampton, Massachusetts,
we
had some good news.
Okay.
Our city is very pro-treaty.
Okay.
And we wanted to be able to divest our city funds from nuclear weapons, but the state of Massachusetts, the Commonwealth, wouldn't let us do that because everybody's investments are everybody's contracts are lumped together with other cities and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we just passed a home rule petition thanks to our local representative Lindsay Sabadosa. We passed a home rule petition, so now Northampton can divest. So
Brilliant.
that's another city that won't have an airport or whatever built by these companies. So there's progress.
Good. Yeah. Well, now this is fascinating to me, because I haven't been back to the States since I left, So you're my woman on the ground there, and one of the people I listen to occasionally is Tom Friedman, and I like Tom in general, and he might be a little too devoted to Israel, but we can discuss that. But he says America looks better from the bottom up than the top down. And that's been my perception of the Trump era, is that as soon as he got into office, everyone started organizing like their lives depended on it, because clearly they do. And
I got off my couch.
Yeah. and of course, I mean, now everyone's just on red alert because of what's been unfolding with Black Lives and COVID and the economy and all the rest of it. So it really is all to the ramparts. Yeah.
Yeah, I see this as a generally hopeful time. We just have to work really, really hard to make sure that we do everything we can and not just bits of it.
Sure, sure, sure.
We have to get the big picture.
Well, can I tell you, Michael Moore would enthusiastically agree with that interpretation for whatever it's worth at this point.
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You know, the film, leaving the film aside, he has been a great resource for me. I do listen to his nearly daily podcast, and like he did 4 evenings in a row when everything was unraveling in Portland with troopers, Trumpers, and all of that madness. So I do find him extremely involved and detailed and progressive. So again, we'll cross that bridge with this film at some point.
Yeah, we're big fans of Amy Goodman and
yes. Yeah, I was Vicki. I actually got to shake Daniel Ellsberg's hand at UC California when he got up to speak for the UC divesting from nuclear weapons in 1980, 90 something. Yeah, whenever that was. So that's how I met Daniel. He was seated in front of me, and he came back and sat down after he gave an eloquent, soul-stirring, heartbreaking, sake of humanity, future of this planet speech. And yeah, so I mean, so I'm just saying, of course, there are a lot of heroic people, you know, with fighting the good fight, like you and Tim and Daniel and many, many, many others. And it's easy for you know, the rest of the world to get very disheartened with what's been happening. So this is a great shot in the arm. Perhaps not the best metaphor, you know, about the progressive agenda and what's happening with this anti-nuclear movement and your involvement. Thank you.
We've spent some time with Daniel.
Okay.
Elson, at his house and this and that, you know.
Right.
And I just want to point out that there's an even cooler person in his house, and that's his wife, Patricia.
I'm sure that's always true. You know how that goes.
She's like the magic behind the man.
Well,
you know?
That's always the way, my friend. Yes.
Yeah. She's the one who got him to do the Pentagon Papers and all that stuff, you know.
Really?
So,
really? Okay.
Really,
well, we need a film about Patricia then. Let's
there should be one.
Yes,
yeah.
Let's put that on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just actually watched the post again for the 3rd time, I think. You know, because it's just like, you know, some little glimmer of liberal democracy, you know, winning the day.
Well, hopefully we're going to have a lot more than glimmers.
Yes, I truly hope so too. Let me ask you, because you and Tim are so involved in all this stuff. Have you two, have you seen the documentary on Netflix called Hacked about Brittany Kaiser and Cambridge Analytica?
We have not yet. It's on our list.
I would really encourage you to do that, because the lady who put that together, her name is Carol Cadwallader. She's a reporter for The Guardian, and she just published an article yesterday that my friend brought to my attention. And she said, look, folks, you know, Cambridge Analytica itself may not exist at the moment, but the damage was so severe that the UK government fined the creators £5 billion. But since that point, yes, I had not heard that figure before, but since that point, Carol wants us to know, no one and nothing has been called to account about this. Yeah, and why I mentioned Brittany Kaiser and why I'm quite honestly fearful of the election and all the rest of it is she's saying, you know, that of course they were involved in Brexit. The Russians through this group and others, Steve Bannon and Jared Kushner, who created Cambridge Analytica. And of course, nothing has been done to stop them in America. So why should it not happen all over again, you know, 3 months from now? Because, you know, Donnie has continued to look the other way. And my other question, just out loud, and just to say it for the political audience that might listen to this, is, so we had the Mueller report, and clearly that was a mixed bag, to put it mildly. But there was a whole intelligence side of the Mueller report that has never come to light, been revealed, been discussed. You know, all of that is still blowing in the wind. So you know, there's just a lot of big mysteries right now. Anyway, the last thing I'll say here, and hopefully this will encourage you to see Hacked, is she's very eloquent, Brittany, very good whistleblower, like Edward Snowden and some others, really knows her stuff. And I'm a big Edward Snowden fan as well. And she says there have been, yes, Cambridge Analytica was destroyed, but the technology continues to work quite well. And it's been used in 70 other countries since 2016. So that's Brazil, that's Hungary, that's all these places where there's been this shift to the right. So there's a lot happening behind the scenes that most people have no idea about. And nothing's been done to stop it.
Well, we cannot afford to sleep.
This is true.
We can't afford complacency. You know, this is life and death.
Sure it is. Yeah.
And
yeah. So
you know,
again, I'm not trying to rain on your parade, just that you and Tim are a couple smarties. So I want to share what info I have so we can all be informed about what's happening.
We all have to really keep paying attention, sorting fact from fiction, which is getting harder and harder to do. Being really, really careful about our sources of information, and participating, voting, breaking down whatever obstacles there are to people getting to vote, making sure that the candidates that we put up are not going to get co-opted or beaten down, that we support them and protect them, and recruit great people. And
I agree, Hun. Do you have in your local area, do you have a political group that you work with with your projects? Or is it more national, international? Just curious.
Well, both. There's a lot going on here in Western Massachusetts.
Okay.
There's all kinds of organizations doing all kinds of good work. Really, it's kind of a bubble here, you know, where there's a lot of good local and national action going on.
Rachel Maddow's hometown, as you said.
Yes. Yeah, she's our girl.
Yes. Yeah. That says a lot.
Yeah, we like to lay claim to Rachel.
Do.
And you know, it's really exciting to live here among all these you know, people who really are working hard.
Yeah.
Do you want to say more about that?
No.
Oh, okay.
Tim's just enjoying the vibe. Bless you, Tim. Bless you. Yeah, man.
And then the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons, of which we are a member organization at nuclear.us, won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2017 for its work.
Thank you. Thank you.
So that was cool. And
yes.
Petitions for Social Responsibility has also won the Nobel Peace Prize. Oh yes, here we are.
Good man, Tim. Well done, well done. You've earned your dinner, my friend. So let me ask you. I'm so glad you said that, because of course that is absolutely huge. John Hume also won the Nobel Peace Prize, who we were mentioning earlier.
He did.
Yes. So let me ask you, because that's of course something that gets everyone's attention. What does that? How has that helped? What does that give this organization is there a money amount that comes with that helps to support this cause? Any of those things?
Yeah, it helped. For the first year after the Nobel Prize, Beatrice Finn, who is the executive director, you know, she and Setsuko Thurlow actually together accepted the prize in Oslo and gave incredible speeches that are worth Googling.
I will look for that.
They're really nice. And there's a movie coming out about Setsuko too, right now. It's called The Vow from Hiroshima.
Is it a documentary or a
documentary?
Okay.
And I have not yet seen it. I think I'm going to see it on Sunday when it.
Great.
You can write to us at Nuclear Ban, and you know we'll put up on our blog how you can watch that film, because there's one day to be free streaming.
Oh, great. Okay.
You know, you have to pay for it or on.
Okay.
Something.
All right. Good.
That's exciting.
That's perfect timing with this interview. So there you go.
Yeah. So Nobel Prize, you know, the first year, Beatrice Finn, the executive director, who's a young woman from Sweden, traveled around the world talking to everybody about the treaty. So that was the Nobel Prize really helped with that.
Great.
We brought her to speak to the Progressive Caucus of the House of Representatives in the United States.
Right. Brilliant.
And
AOC, as we say.
yeah, those guys.
Yeah.
It was a little disappointing. The previous meeting they were having ran overtime, and so there weren't as many of them in the room as we'd hoped. It was actually, you go to Washington and you think you're making a big difference, and it's actually sort of like swimming up a river. It's
Sure,
a little
honey.
bit,
Sure.
but you just got to keep going.
Sure.
Anyway, so the prize helped with getting the word out more. And it came along with some money that I think they've used for, adding staff and stuff.
Great.
I mean, the ICANN core office, is just a few people.
Right.
And,
right.
And they started in Australia, Sweden.
Right. Right.
There are 500 and some member organizations in 100 countries around the world.
Okay.
Which is really
amazing.
And ICANN's doing a good job, I think, of coordinating all those organizations together.
That's the central organizing group?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's called ICANN.
Well, ICANN is the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons.
Okay, honey. Very good. Very good. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
brilliant.
What else can I tell you?
Well, that's a lot. That's lovely.
Yeah, we got the whole prize. That was fun.
That's exciting. Have we met Greta Thunberg this week?
Yeah. I would like to very much.
Okay. We'll put that on the list along with a cocktail party with Rachel and AOC.
Yeah.
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 Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, sweetheart, you're just, a fountain of inspiration and wisdom as always. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, it's delightful to see you.
Pleasure.
Thanks for spreading the good, peaceful word around the world.
Well, we're, it's my honor, honey, honestly. And, what I remember, sweetheart, when we were teens together is, was it the legend of the lame deer? There was a Native American book, John Fire Lame Deer, that you gave to me, Teachings of Lame Deer.
Yeah? Wow.
Does that ring any bells, Teachings of Lame Deer?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's just have a think about that, as we sail off into the sunset here today. Yeah, that was a lovely thing. And I remember we were both, I think, very into Cat Stevens. We thought he was really, really just the very best. And yeah, sweetie, I mean, it's just great to rekindle this wonderful friendship and the connection, and that we're still doing such similar things in the world. And it's just great to be a part of what you and Tim have created here. It's brilliant. And the divine timing of this, Vicki, that I'm just downstairs looking at the funeral of the Martin Luther King of Ireland with my friend who grew up with this guy and, was an altar boy at the church where we're burying him, that Bono, the Pope, and, everyone on the planet is eulogizing. It's just an amazing time. So I do.
Reports were eulogizing John Lewis.
Yes.
And
yes.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
Very inspiring too.
Yes. I did read his message, that he wrote 2 days before he passed. That was so.
And Obama's speech has been much quoted.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't been lit up by that yet. Maybe I'll have to give that another chance. I just started it. I didn't get through it. Yeah. So there's a lot of inspiration, and I do hope truly that Ireland does ratify this great treaty in the next few days in honor of John Hume and John Lewis and all the peacemakers of the earth. So we get back to having a future that we can all be proud of and not terrified about.
Yeah, well, we're having fun right now. We're writing a book that's set in 2074, after all these things have been worked out and the climate is stabilizing and pandemics are handled, and it's really fun living in that world and looking at what it took to get there.
Sure.
And how people continue to celebrate all those breakthroughs and pass them on to the next generation, so we don't get back in this mess again.
Sure.
So we're having a lot of fun with that.
Excellent. Well, here's where our next conversation, we can discuss the concept of ascension and the third dimension and the fifth dimension and what humanity's spiritual awakening might entail, because I'm sure that that's a part of the journey here as well in some wonderful way. Because Believe me, hon, just like yourself. I mean, you're there, you know, at the UN to see the signing of this thing. My story, you know, my awakening, and the teachers that I've studied with, and my experiences of working with and for Spirit for 33 years, and being here for 13. They're not anything I consciously intended. They're just where my life has led me. And again, I just feel there's a great coming together now of conscious people of good heart wanting to help the world to awaken. And I'm not the least bit surprised, but I'm most delighted to see Vicki Niquette across the screen from me at this auspicious moment. So thank you so much, Vicki. Thank you.
Yeah, all the best.
Thanks, sweetheart. Well,
Yeah,
I hope
when Ireland ratifies, and we'll party.
We'll have to keep this going. Tim, I'm going to let your lady go. Thank you so much, brother.
Yeah, take care.
Thanks a million. Great to connect with you. My love to you both.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, guys. Have a great evening. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye for now.